Hey guys, what's up? I hope you're all doing well, and I hope that your preparations for the upcoming RBI Grade B exam are going great. And welcome to the YouTube channel of LYT Mode, where we guys work really hard so that you can leverage your time for the upcoming RBI Grade B exam. So, today we're going to discuss the topic of PSL norms, which is extremely important for the upcoming RBI Grade B exam. Why? Because these norms have recently been revised through a notification given by the Reserve Bank of India in September 2020. There are a lot of revisions that have been made to the PSL norms, and those are very important for your RBI exam because uh, September is when these norms were changed, and your exam is probably going to be conducted around December or Jan, which is like 3 to 4 months from these changes. So these become a part of your important current affairs. And PSL is also a very important part of the monetary policy, which is itself a big chunk of the ESI syllabus. And the monetary policy is set by the Reserve Bank of India. The PSL norms is a major part of the monetary policy, which is also set up by the Reserve Bank of India. So it becomes very important for RBI exam, and it is also important for other exams like NABARD and SEBI. So, guys, before we begin, I would like to request you guys to please like and share this video, because when you do so, it motivates us a lot to keep doing this hard work for you guys. I mean, when we make these videos for you, we put in a lot of work on the back end, a lot of hard work, a lot of days and nights of work is put in behind these videos. We burn a lot of midnight oil for you guys so that we can bring the relevant topics first of all, and then we also put in a lot of research as to how many questions were asked, where the questions were asked, what are the topics that the Reserve Bank of India wants to focus upon, what exactly should be and can be asked, and what exactly has never been asked, where the students lose their time. All of that, we put a lot of hard work into that, and when you like and share the videos, it gives us a lot of motivation to keep doing all of that, because your love is much beyond anything else that we can get. Okay, guys, and for those of you who are really working really hard and very serious about clearing the RBI Grade B exam this year, for those I'd recommend them to go down and press the bell icon below, because you guys will then get notified whenever we upload any important video for the exam. And as I told you, we work really hard, put in a lot of hours behind every video that we do, and when you see that video in a few minutes, those hours of hard work are actually benefiting you. So you are truly able to leverage your time, and trust me, you will thank us after the exam if you keep watching these videos and keep making notes out of them. So there's this advice from my side that you should at least follow all the videos, and a better way to do that is press the bell icon below. All right then, guys, let's move to the topic of PSL. So what does PSL stand for? PSL basically stands for priority sector lendings. These basically what happens is that the government of India and the Reserve Bank of India, they both come together to consider a few sectors that are important for the development. So sectors that are important for the development of the economy in general and the basic needs of the country in particular, those sectors are then characterized by them as the priority sectors. For example, agriculture and uh, the social infrastructure, the renewable energy, and lendings to backward classes, including SCs and women. All of these have been characterized as the PSL sectors, right? So when a sector is characterized as a priority sector, then banks are basically the primary lenders in the country, and lending is something that refers to the credit or the loans that are given out. So banks are the primary agents for lending, and banks, when some sector is characterized as a priority sector, banks are mandated to give more loans or fixed amounts or fixed percentages of loans to such sectors for their growths, right? And what happens is, for example, banks have to give 18% of all of their loans to agriculture sector. Now if SBI, for example, for example the State Bank of India or SBI was only able to give 16% of its loans to agriculture in a particular year, but it was mandated to give 18%. So the shortfall is 2% of its total loans. Now, this 2% of its total loans, for example, it might be 100 crores or something. This amount then has to go to the RIDF, or the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. And this is a fund which is managed by NABARD, or the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. And this fund is used for the infrastructure and development of the overall rural areas. Okay, guys. So that is where the entire money goes if they fall short of their PSL targets. And for the banks, those banks which are not Indian banks, for foreign banks, specifically those which have less than 20 branches, so for example, if there is a bank named ABC Bank, and this ABC Bank uh, fell short of its PSL targets by maybe 5%, then these 5% will go to the SEDF, where the SEDF stands for the Small Enterprises Development Fund. So the RIDF was Rural Infra and Development Fund. The SEDF is Small Enterprises Development Fund, and this SEDF is managed or maintained by SIDBI, where SIDBI, I hope that you all remember the full form of SIDBI. It is Small Industries Development Bank of India. And if you remember the full form, then I hope that you also remember the where the headquarters of SIDBI is, because that is a question that has been asked in a number of exams in the GA section, including the RBI as well. So the headquarters of SIDBI are in Lucknow. And where is Lucknow? It's in UP. And where are the headquarters of NABARD? They're in Mumbai, the same place where the headquarters of Reserve Bank of India are. And Mumbai is in Maharashtra, right? So you should know all these facts. I mean, they're just side facts that came to my mind while talking about these. So you should know. So for all foreign banks with less than 20 branches, the shortfalls for PSL go into SEDF, or the Small Enterprises Development Fund. And for all other banks, it goes into the RIDF, or the Rural Infra and Development Fund. Fine. Moving ahead. Okay, so this page, this is not to make you, I mean, to not teach you anything. This is just to tell you that whatever I'm going to teach in this PSL targets, the changes that have been made to the PSL targets, I've directly taken them from the Reserve Bank of India website, from the notification that they came out with on 4th of September 2020. And it's fine if you can't read this fine print text, because I just wanted to tell you that that is when 4th of September is when these changes were made, and I've directly taken them from the Reserve Bank of India. So you do not need to worry about their authenticity. Okay, guys, moving ahead. So first of all, there's 3-4 categories of banks that we'll talk about in terms of their total PSL targets, and some particular targets that you need to remember for them. The first one is the most important: domestic banks. All domestic scheduled commercial banks, or SCBs as we call them, scheduled commercial banks, along with foreign banks whose branches are greater than 20. All of these fall under the first category, or the category 1, I'll call it. And in this category, the total PSL targets are 40% of ANBCs. ANBCs stand for Adjusted Net Bank Credit. Adjusted Net Bank Credit. Okay, so it's basically a measure of the total amount of credit that a bank is, or the total amount of loans that the bank is lending across the year. And out of all of that, 40% of it goes to PSL. All the various PSL sectors, it has to 40% of it has to go to them, for all domestic SCBs and all foreign banks with more than 20 branches. Okay, guys. And the second category is the foreign banks with less than 20 branches, जिनके branches 20 से कम है. And for them again, 40% of the ANBCs. Coming on to the other categories are the category 3 and 4, which I think we can place them together because that will be much more easier for you to understand. So the categories 3 and 4, they can be put together. They are the RRBs, or the regional rural banks, and the SFBs, that is the small finance banks. Okay, and both of them actually need to give 75% of their ANBCs. That's a really high number. 75% of their adjusted net bank credits to the PSL sectors. Okay, moving ahead. Now, what is the target for agriculture? Agriculture is the biggest target in terms of PSL for all banks. Okay, and under agriculture, 18%. So out of this 40%, 18% is given. I mean, not the 18% of 40%, 18% of the total ANBCs. So out of this 40% of total ANBCs, 18% of the total ANBCs have to be given to agriculture as a PSL by all banks, including RRBs and SFBs. The only exception to this is the category 2, that is the foreign banks with less than 20 branches. For this, I'll give you a very simple, it's for them the characterization is very simple. They have to give, out of this 40%, 32% has to go for export credit. Okay, export credit, and the remaining 8% has to go for other PSL categories, all others. Okay guys, it's very simple. And for all others, the category 1 to 1 3 and 4, 18% has to be given for agriculture. And again, out of this 18%, earlier 8% used to be given to only small and marginal farmers. But now, with the new PSL changes that were brought in September, this 8% has been increased to 10%. This is a very important thing that you need to know. This is a change that has been brought recently. So 10% goes to small and marginal farmers. And what does small and marginal farmers mean? Marginal farmers means those farmers whose total land holding is less than 1 hectare. And small farmers mean those farmers whose land holdings are between 1 to 2 hectares. So basically, all those farmers whose land holdings are under 2 hectares, that is both small and marginal farmers, they have to now be given 10% out of this 18%, and the rest of the 8% goes to all other farmers which are above the small farmers, that is with those farmers which have more than 2 hectares of land holdings. Okay guys, and that is the same for this and this category as well. Moving on to the third category, this was not touched this time around, the micro enterprises. It is the same as it used to be before, that is 7.5% goes to micro enterprises in all other categories. Okay, weaker sections, this is again important because weaker sections was again changed recently, and it has been earlier. Okay, so I'll give you the numbers over here. Earlier it was 10% of the ANBCs that was given to the weaker sections. Now this has been increased to 12%, and that is why it becomes extremely important. Okay, so now 2% बढ़ाया गया है small and marginal farmers के लिए, and there is a 2% rise for these weaker sections as well, and that's been done for again all categories, category 1 2 1 3 and 4. Okay, and when you move to the next slide, you can see over here that the small and marginal farmers ka target has been changed, and it is not like the that it was 8% today and suddenly it has been changed to 10% tomorrow. No, the banks have been given around 4 financial years to increase it to 10%. Similarly, also for the weaker targets, the banks have been given 4 financial years to reach the increase of 2% in the weaker sections from 10% to 12%. And here from 8% to 10%, they've been given 4 financial years. So beginning from the FY21 to 22, 23, 24, FY24 is the year when they have to actually reach these targets. And you need to remember this FY24. Okay, guys, you need to remember it. And What are the targets? You also need to know that FY21 it will be 8%, FY21 at FY22 it will be 9%, FY23 9.5%, and FY24 10%. Similarly, for weaker sections it will be 10%, then 11%, then 11.5%, and finally 12% in the FY 2023-24. Okay, guys. And now another important development that happened was primary urban cooperative banks. So now recently what has happened is that the urban cooperative banks plus the interstate cooperative banks, both of them have been brought under the Reserve Bank of India. Earlier they were regulated by NABARD, right? So interstate UCBs and all other primary UCBs, they have been not just interstate UCBs, but all interstate cooperative banks. So including rural cooperative banks as well, if they are interstate, they have also been brought under this. And all primary urban cooperative banks, all of them have now been brought under the regulatory control of the Reserve Bank of India, right? And when that happened, the Reserve Bank of India has changed their PSL targets as well. So the urban cooperative banks earlier had the target of 40% PSL, 40% of ANBCs. That was the same as the domestic SCBs. And it was much lesser than the RRBs, regional rural banks, and the small finance banks. But now RBI has characterized these urban cooperative banks and interstate cooperative banks into the 75% PSL target list. So they're like, वहाँ क्या कर रहे हो? Come on, give more PSL lendings, because that is what you're actually made for, and that is right, because cooperative banks were actually formed to serve the society and to lend more to the weaker sections, to the people who are not being able to get credit, and not just do the primary banking functions which all other banks do. So RBI is like, come on, वहाँ 40% पे क्या कर रहा है, चल उठ के 75% पे जा, you have to go there, there's no other option. Okay. And what are the targets? Again, they have to give 40% was the existing target. They have to give 45% in this financial year by 2021, 50% by 22, that is next financial year, 60% in the FY23, and finally 75% in FY24. So all of these new changes that have been brought about in the PSL targets, they are to be met by FY24 or 31st of March 2024 by all banks. Okay, guys. And the weaker sections target. Okay, so this is also one more thing that I did not tell you earlier when we were talking about the RRBs. For RRBs, because they have 75% PSL targets, so they have to lend more to the weaker sections. They lend 15%. Okay, so for normal banks it is 12%, but the RRBs have to lend 15% towards the weaker sections, because they lend in rural areas, and rural areas have a greater percentage of weaker sections for in them. Okay, so this also you should know. Okay, so moving on to some important changes that have been brought about in the PSL targets this year. And the initial one is that under agriculture, the loans to solar pumps and solar power plants, both of them have been included under PSL. So all the loans that are given for solar pumps and solar power plants. And the third thing is compressed biogas plants. So on a side note, first of all, the solar pumps and solar power plants, these have been given a lot of boost under a very particular scheme of the government of India. Can you name that scheme? If you guys can, please give the answer in the comment section below. That is my first question in this video. So if you remember the scheme that gives a boost to solar pumps and solar power plants for agricultural sector, please answer that, the scheme. Okay, which scheme is that? Now coming back to the agriculture sector, the solar pumps, solar power plants, and the compressed biogas plants, all three have been included under agriculture PSL targets. Secondly, the agriculture PSL loans which are given to FPOs and FPCs, their limit has been increased to 5 crores from 2 crores. So earlier it was 2 crores, now it has been increased to 5 crores because there's a lot of boost that is being given to the FPOs and FPCs as well. FPOs basically stands for farmer producer organizations. Okay, moving ahead. Others. The total target for others is 2.5%. Earlier it used to be 4.5. Now it's been reduced to only 2.5% with the increase given to the weaker sections. But there's a lot of changes that have been brought into the others section. And the first of them is startups. The extremely important, the most important thing that has happened over here, because startups is the keyword right now. It's being used everywhere and everyone is trying to give a boost to them, especially the government. So the first thing is that startups have been included for the first time under the PSL norms, and the maximum limit of lending that can be given to them is 50 crores. Moving ahead. Renewable energy. For renewable energy, the limit was 15 crores earlier. Now it has been increased to 30 crores. Okay, it has been doubled. Third is social infrastructure. So under social infrastructure, the limit is actually 5 crore per social infrastructure project, but a very specific case has been created under this because of the COVID-19 healthcare scenario that has been going around since the last few months, that the healthcare facilities under social infrastructure in tier 2 to tier 6 cities, not all cities but only cities from tier 2 to tier 6, there the limit has been doubled for PSL. I mean 10 crore rupees can now be given to healthcare facilities in such cities. Earlier it was 5 crores. But for all other social infrastructural projects, it is still 5 crores. And again, education has also been changed. For education, it is now 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs is the limit for both domestic and foreign education of students. So earlier there was a difference between the domestic and foreign targets. Now both of them have been placed at 20 lakhs. Okay guys, moving ahead. Regional disparities. So this is again a very interesting thing that has been done in the PSL targets, and it's a very good thing that is actually being done. So what the Reserve Bank of India has done is that they have created three categories now for uh, the districts according to the per capita PSL lendings that are being given to them. Okay, so the first type of category is higher weightage category. Okay, and this higher weightage category is the category where the districts where the per capita PSL lendings are less than 6,000. Okay, so less than 6,000 per person is the average PSL loans that are being distributed in these districts. The second category that has been created is the lower weightage category, where already a lot of loans have been given, and that category is where the PSL per capita is greater than 25,000. So can you actually see the regional disparities that lie between the districts in India? And you can also see the fact that 184 districts in India have a regional have a per capita PSL of merely less than 6,000. So there are 184 districts of which have such low PSL lendings in India. However, 205 districts are there which have more than 25,000 per capita PSL lendings. So the both of these calculate to a total of like close to 400 districts, and India has close to 750 districts, which means the remaining 350 districts, they go into the normal category where the PSL per capita is between 6,000 to 25,000. Okay, so now the interesting fact over here is that the PSL credit limits have only been changed for the incremental PSL that will be given in these districts, which means if last year, suppose an X district lies over here in the per capita more than 25,000 category. Okay, so if in this X district 10 crores of worth of loans were given by a bank last year, then if the bank gives 11 crores this year, the incremental loan is 1 crore, right? That incremental loan will be considered for these lower or higher percentages. And what is the lower or higher percentage that will be given? That is, for the higher per capita PSL districts, only 90% of the incremental will be considered under PSL. So out of this 1 crore, only 90 lakhs will be considered as PSL. So this is actually they are trying to dissuade the bank from giving more PSL loans in the higher per capita PSL districts. Whereas for the lower per capita PSL districts, the if the additional or the incremental loan given this year was 1 crore, then that will be considered as 1.25 crore or 125% of the loan given. Okay, so this will be considered as a higher loan under the PSL lendings. That is why the banks will now try to lend more in the lower per capita PSL regions. And for those regions which are normal, as in neither higher nor lower, they lie between 6,000 to 25,000. For those regions, 100% weightage will be given for any kind of PSL that is there. Basically, they are normal. Nothing has changed over there. Okay, guys. And interesting fact is that this also will only be in power till FY 2024. Okay, so these lists and this entire higher and lower weightage target for regional disparities has been put in place only for FY 22, that is next year, to FY 24, that is 2024 March 31. Okay, and beyond that, it depends on the RBI what will be done. And another interesting fact that I wanted to tell you over here is that this can be asked. There's a high chance that you should know this at least. So out of these 184 districts which are having extremely low PSL per capita, the highest number of districts lie in Bihar, and after that the second highest lie in the northeastern region. Okay, so the highest number of low per capita PSL regions lie in Bihar, and the highest number of high per capita PSL, that is more than 25,000 per capita PSL districts, they lie in Tamil Nadu. So basically, the PSL lending is the highest per capita in Tamil Nadu and lowest per capita in Bihar. You should know these facts. Okay, guys, moving ahead. PSL certificates. So this is a very small topic. I'll try to finish it off in a minute or two. Nothing big in this. Basically, it's like this key. When a bank starts lending more than the PSL targets for it, that is kind of incentivized with this PSL certificates. So if a bank is supposed to give man lo 40% of its uh, ANBCs as the PSL targets, and that bank is actually able to achieve 44%, then for the 4% incremental, it will be given 4% of certificates or PSLCs, right? And these PSLCs are tradable. So the bank can actually sell them in the market. And who will buy it? Other banks. Suppose there was a bank who was only able to achieve 38% of its ANBCs as PSL, which means it is falling short of 2%. Now it will have to either give the entire 2% amount to the RIDF or SEDF, which is a total loss to the bank, or it can actually buy maybe 2% PSLs at maybe 1% or half the cost of this from this bank. And in that case, if the bank buys the PSLCs or the certificates, it does not have to pay money to the RIDF or the SEDF. Okay. Now, interestingly, what happens is that those banks which are lending more to the PSL than their required lendings, they get incentivized for it because now they're getting money when they sell these certificates. But when they sell these certificates, the loans that were backing these certificates, the loans that they had given to the PSL targets, they are not sold, or the bank that is buying those certificates is not liable for any kinds of defaults that happen on those loans, or they are not in general responsible for those loans. They are just buying those PSL targets in the form of certificates. Okay, it's a very simple and plain market mechanism where when more banks achieve the targets, and lesser banks need the PSL certificates, then the value of the certificates falls. And when lesser banks achieve the PSL targets and more banks need the certificates, then the value of the PSLCs rises. It's a pure market mechanism. Okay, guys, moving ahead. All right. So we've come towards the end of all of the PSL changes that were brought about by the Reserve Bank of India. And towards the end, I would like to ask you a very important question for your RBI exam. And this is a very recent happening in September 2020. And why is it important? Because the question says that which is the first country to release sovereign SDG bonds in the market? Okay. Which country is the first to release its sovereign SDG bonds? And why is it important? Because SDG is the like one of the most favorite topics of the Reserve Bank of India and in general regulatory body exams. So first of all, because of SDG bonds. Secondly, because it's a very recent development in September 2020. And thirdly, it is also not just SDG, not just related to SDG, it is also related to bonds. Bonds again is a financial instrument and again a very important thing. So this is an extremely important question, and for all of those guys who know the answer to this question, please put it down in the comment section below. So this is the second question that I've asked in this video, and for let's see how many of you guys know the answer to both these questions. Okay, guys, so two questions I've asked, and I hope that you understood all the PSL norms that I told you about today. And if you guys have any other doubt, then you can write to us. First of all, I would recommend that you put your doubts in the comment section below so that we can directly go through them and they can be sorted out as soon as possible. But if they are still not solved, then you can write to us at our email ID, which is hi@litmode.in. Okay, our email ID is hi@litmode.in. You can write to us anytime and we'll definitely try to answer all your doubts. And for those of you who like the way we are approaching the exam in a very in a very constrict, precise, and very exam oriented manner, where you do not need to study anything extra, only what you study is what you get, and that is pretty much it. It's basically like if you are ready to put in the hard work, then we are ready to show you the right direction. If you like the way of approaching the exam in such a manner, then you can visit our website, which is www.litmode.in, and over there you'll find a lot of material that we put in for the Reserve Bank of India exam. And our course for the RBI exam is live, and it's a very exam oriented course. At the same time, it's very pocket friendly. We've made it in such a manner that what others give you, I mean, the rate at which others will not even give you the PDF courses, we'll provide you everything, beginning from the video courses to the test series to the even the descriptive exam series. Everything is there, and I'm sure that you'll love it. At least you can go and have a look, because we put in a lot of hard work into all of this. So I would recommend at least go and have a look at our RBI Grade B course. Okay, guys. And for any other doubts, down in the comment section below. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day. Goodbye.